I'd like to now discuss a couple of offerings that Microsoft has for users that would like the ability to essentially get access to a Windows machine that's hosted in the cloud. Now, the first feature that we have available to us that we can use in the Azure environment is called Windows 365. And here I am on portal.azure.com. If I just do a search for Windows 365, you'll see I have an option right here. It says Windows 365. I can click on that, and this is something I can set up. I can configure a deployment plan and all that. But what is it? That's really what the point I'm trying to get across here. So what is it? Microsoft basically offers this as an option for users that want to basically host their Windows operating system in the cloud, okay? As opposed to buying a machine with Windows on it. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, if I buy a machine, it's already going to have Windows on it, right? So why would I want to have a computer at my office or whatever, or house, and then also pay for one that I'm getting access to online? So the logic is this. If you think about it, maybe you are a graphics artist or developer, whatever. You need a powerful machine, okay? Maybe you edit videos for a living. Think about a person that's got a piece of software that requires a lot of memory and a lot of processing power. Now, one option would be to go out and buy yourself, maybe spend a couple $1,000s on a machine that is powerful enough to have Windows on it with the powerful graphics adapter and all that, and then run the application that's needed. And then that would be great, and that's fine. You could do that. That's an option. A company could do that, obviously. Now, another option is you could have a lesser powered machine, like what we call a thin client. Okay, and if you're not familiar with that concept of thin client, these are almost like little mini computers. They don't have really powerful processors in it or any of that. But what's beautiful about it is they're relatively inexpensive. You can buy these and you can use something like Windows 365, where Windows is hosted in the cloud with virtual CPU usage, graphics adapter support, all of that. Lots of memory, lots of processing power, lots of storage, and it's basically going to be streamed down to this slower machine, but you're going to have the speed and all of that that's going to be hosted in the cloud for you, okay? The other thing is Microsoft handles all the security updates and all of that fun stuff as well. All right, so you're basically having a streamed operating system. Okay, now there's a downside, obviously, is if you lose your internet connection, you won't have access to this machine. Okay, but the upside is you can have a very powerful machine for a relatively low cost that you just pay a monthly subscription fee to. That's going to be hosted in the cloud. All right. Now, that's Windows 365. Windows 365 is geared towards a person that just wants access. It's a single person that's going to be using a machine. This is not really meant for any kind of shared computer or any of that. Usually, it's just meant for a single user. Now, another option for companies, and this is the more robust way of handling this, as well as on a larger scale. Microsoft offers what is called Azure Virtual Desktop, formerly known as Windows Virtual Desktop. Azure Virtual Desktop, with Azure Virtual Desktop, you set up these things called host pools. So if I go back over here to portal.azure.com and I do search for Azure Virtual Desktop, okay, there's the option right there. I can create this thing called a host pool. So a host pool is going to be a group of virtual machines that essentially what happens is when a user connects into an Azure Virtual Desktop, the Azure will give them access to one of these virtual machines. Now, what's really neat about this is the user's data and profile can be stored in a central place. So it doesn't matter which of these virtual machines you get access to, because your storage is somewhere else. So it links your storage to that. So what's great about this is it can scale really well. In other words, right now, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, I guess 11 machines If we needed more users, we could have that scale out to 20 machines or 30. And you, with a host pool, you essentially pay for what you're using. So if you were looking to do something like this on a larger scale, then Azure Virtual Desktop is going to be a better solution. Now, if you're talking about you're a small business, you've got a couple of graphics artists that, and I'm using graphics arts because that's definitely a field where you have apps that require a lot of memory and processing power in a lot of cases. Then I would say Windows 365 is going to be the better solution. But if you're in a business environment where you're working on a larger scale, where you've got 20, 30, 40, 50 machines, 100 machines, 1,000, whatever, that you're wanting to utilize a virtual copy of Windows, then Azure Virtual Desktop is going to be the better solution. Okay, so hopefully that now clears that up for you and you understand the benefits here. I'm not diving into configuring any of this. The point of this video is just kind of compare and help you understand the difference between using Windows 365 versus the Azure Virtual Desktop features that Microsoft offers.